Today's video is sponsored by LG. We are getting closer and closer to the launch of the Xbox Series X and PS5, and one of the ways I wanted to start getting ready for that is by redoing our gaming setup at the office to start really experiencing next-gen games in a new, fresh way. And you can actually see the new setup behind me. Clearly, we have relocated to a different part of the office. We're not in that stuffy upstairs area now, but instead, it's this nice open room, and the real big focus of this setup is on something that was more minimalist, but more importantly, something that's really immersive. So on the minimalist side of things, obviously compared to some of the past setups we've done, I'm not having a ton of controllers and statues everywhere. It's a lot more low-key than that. We're using a very simple cabinet that has 3 sections that allows us to display each of the current systems, which we will be eventually upgrading with the Series X and PS5 in sideways mode, obviously not tower. That wouldn't work out super great. And then just having a couple little items on display on the shelf below them, including some art books relevant to each system, or even some cool controllers and stuff, just little small pieces to show some love for each system. And the goal of this is to really kind of cut down on the noise in the room and really bring all the attention and focus to the main centerpiece of this setup, the TV. This is the 75-inch Nano 99 TV from LG. This is one of the most recent models that allows for 8K resolution, and one of the things that really sells it in this setup is that not only is it just a beautiful looking television, but its size fills up the room perfectly, and with the way we have the couch and everything oriented, it's at this perfect height to just really bring all the focus at what's happening on screen, which when it comes to gaming is of course the really important thing. The high resolution isn't the only great thing about this TV's picture quality either, but also its use of LG's NanoCell technology to produce true colors. As the name implies, the tech they use makes use of 1 nanometer size nanoparticles to filter out dull colors and produce true colors that are vivid and accurate. At 75 inches, this is the perfect size for filling up the way we want this setup done. In fact, it even goes from each beam side to side and fills the TV console that it's on top of. If you're a believer in the concept of bigger is always better, they do have a larger version of this TV at 86 inches, but that is a 4K model. They do not have an 8K 175 is as big as it gets, which is still a very crisp, great looking image, but considering our goal here is something that's going to be able to take full advantage of next-gen systems, we gotta have that 8K. Now, again, we didn't want to have a ton of other stuff in this setup. We really wanted to focus on just the TV, but I did want to have just something extra, a little fancy going on at the same time, and the way we achieved that is that you're familiar with this area in the office before. We've made use of hue lights in the past. Well, now we've added a syncing box, which makes it so that everything that's happening on this TV is matched in the lights surrounding it, both on the steel beams on each side of the screen and on the lights above. This gives a really cool immersive feeling to games you're playing. Anything that has a lot of really vibrant colors that's now going to match, which is really fun, and it makes certain intense moments in games actually even crazier. For instance, if the screen is going all red, well, you're going to be in a red lit room, which is super cool feeling, especially for late night gaming. Awesome. This, of course, all feeds back into, though, what is again the focus of this setup, the TV. Now, part of the big deal about getting ready for next-gen gaming is there are a whole lot of new features and things we need to be concerned with and ready for next-gen systems, and this TV checkmarks all those boxes. So we were really excited when LG hit us up for the chance to actually try it out and start getting ready for next-gen gaming with it. So I want to cover all the main features that are relevant specifically to gaming. This is, again, a very beautiful TV, but gaming is what we care about. And the first thing is, of course, simply resolution and frame rate. One of the newer features, though, that's really important to next-gen gaming and is actually currently existent on one of the current systems is variable refresh rate, specifically AMD FreeSync. Basically what this does is it makes sure that whatever frame rate is being pushed out of your console is being matched perfectly on the screen instead of them having to constantly communicate and figuring out when to display what frames when. Where this ends up being really important is that if a game has inconsistent frame rates or there's ever a frame drop that happens, resolution is something that's been increasing more and more with recent systems. Obviously, we just got over a really heavy focus on the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro, allowing for 4K resolution, and that's only getting even higher with both the PS5 and Series X promising the ability to go as high as 8K. I don't think we're necessarily going to see a ton of games hitting that right at launch, at least those where a higher resolution really truly matters, but for when those games start to hit that level, and for those games that make use of some fancier upscaling techniques like checkerboarding, this is a TV that's going to allow us to play those games at that very high resolution. And to really clarify and emphasize how big 8K is, it's 33 million pixels, 4 times the number of pixels in a 4K image, 16 times that of 1080p. This is as high as things get right now, and the level of crispness that it offers as far as detail in an image goes is insane. This is going to ensure that, again, for those games that hit 8K or at least use very good techniques for upscaling into 8K, we're going to get cinematic and visual experiences that were never possible on current gen systems, which I am very, very excited for. Now, the other side of this whole performance discussion, of course, though, is frame rate. And this has always been kind of the tug-of-war with systems, right? Is that there are games that push having higher resolution and better graphical details, and other games that are more focused on higher frame rates. And traditionally, lately, when it comes to consoles, the really heavy focus has been a steady 30 frames for a lot of single-player experiences or anything that is more focused on cinematics. But for multiplayer and things where performance really matters and you have to have precision timing, you want 60 frames. Well, it's already been discussed that both next-gen systems are going to be supporting as high as 120 frames, which is so much smoother. And in fact, while it has been sadly delayed and pushed back a little bit, it's already confirmed that Halo Infinite's multiplayer on the Series X is going to support as high as 120 frames. An important thing you have to keep in mind is that in order to see frame rates that high, you have to have a TV that actually supports a refresh rate that high, and in this case, this TV does. It does not support the 120 Hz at 8K. I don't think that's going to be an issue for any particular games. I doubt we're going to see 8K 120 anytime soon, but as long as you're displaying at 4K or below, this TV is capable of a 120 Hz refresh rate, allowing you to get that maximum frame rate out of those games that support 120, giving buttery smooth performance. Basically, the main takeaway here is that for those games that really push high on resolution and focus on a cinematic experience, this TV is going to let us do that. And for those games that focus more on performance and having something that allows for tight controls and multiplayer, it's going to let us do that too. And these are the only things that matter for gaming. There's a whole lot of other features this TV offers that next-gen systems will be able to make use of. You're probably familiar with some of these terms. For instance, HDR. This was a really big focus on the mid-generation releases from this past cycle, including things like the PS4 Slim, Xbox One S, and of course the One X and PS4 Pro, where it allows for a much larger variety of colors to be displayed on screen and gives a much more vibrant picture than would normally be possible on older systems. Well, it's very simple to talk about HDR in terms of just being a feature that a TV has or doesn't have. It's actually not quite that simple. There's a variety of different forms of HDR, and different TVs are trying different ways of fine-tuning it further and further. In this particular case, it's focusing not only on making sure that you have as vibrant of colors as possible, but they also stay true and accurate to what game devs intended for you to see in the first place. It's making sure to reduce and keep at a minimum any screen stuttering or tearing that can occur, ensuring the image stays nice and clean, and even if things get a little over the place frame rate wise, it's going to look as smooth as possible. This is something you can actually already test out and experience on an Xbox One. You cannot use this on PS4, but both the PS5 and Series X will be making use of this feature as well, which is very exciting, especially since we're talking about frame rates getting as high as 120. And of course, one of the all-time most important features when it comes to a TV for gaming, latency. Making sure that it's as low as possible so that when you hit a button on your controller, it's represented on screen as soon as possible. Now, both companies, especially Xbox, have really talked about how they are working on their end to make sure that latency between controller inputs and what the system reads and everything is as low as possible. But another very important step of this is, of course, how quickly this system is able to push that image to your TV screen, so it's all happening as fast as can be. And one of the really nice things about this is this TV does support an auto low latency mode, meaning that as soon as you plug a console into it, it's recognizing, hey, this is a gaming device. You don't necessarily care about all the different post-processing stuff it can do. Instead, you just want it to make sure that the image is getting from the console to the screen as fast as possible, and it adjusts the settings to make sure of that. While not specifically for next-gen gaming, there's a couple other things worth bringing up real quick as far as just what this does for gaming in general, including the fact that you can have a built-in Twitch app, so you can just watch game streaming straight from the TV itself. You don't have to worry about buying a separate box or anything like that. And it features enough HDMI ports so you can plug in all your modern systems simultaneously, no problem. All the gaming stuff aside, this is also just, by the way, a really nice looking TV. How deep the blacks can get, the vibrant colors, the overall brightness of the screen, it is wonderful to look at, and I cannot wait to start playing some next-gen games on it, because what I've been doing with current-gen systems already looks fantastic. There's a whole lot of stuff to get excited for this holiday season. Next-gen systems are going to have a whole lot of new features for us to make use of, and this TV and new setup is going to make sure that I get the absolute most out of it, and I cannot wait. Thanks again to LG for sponsoring today's video and sending out the TV for us to try out. Check out the link down below in the description to learn more about it if you're interested in picking one up, and I will see you guys later.